Hi everybody, and a very warm welcome back to the painting channel. Now today I'm going to be doing a beautiful great crested grebe, and I photographed this a few years ago in London, so let's roll that intro. Let's see what it's all about. Hi everybody, and a warm welcome back. Now, as I said just now, I'm going to be painting a great crested grebe for you today. There are grebe species the world over, and each of them are beautiful in their own right. I'm biased. I just happen to think that the great crested grebe is one of the most iconic grebe species that we have. I get to see them most days when I'm walking the dog. They're always in pairs feeding off the shore, 100 yards out or even less sometimes. And they are also feeding alongside the cormorants that are also, but you tend to find those singularly, and you tend to find the grebes in pairs, and that's quite an easy way to identify the differences between them. But this one was taken a few years ago on one of the London lakes, or one of the Great Park lakes, and I've been meaning to paint it for so long. Now, before we go any further, the drawing that you're going to see was filmed not at the same time as right now. It was done a little while back, but I got so involved with the drawing that I forgot to speak, certainly for the first part of it, so I just kept silent for the rest of it. I also realized at the end that I hadn't actually got the full lights on and was relying on the garage lights along with some available side lighting from the great outdoors. So hopefully, and I haven't even checked the footage yet, hopefully it will be fine, and I have speeded it up and set it to music. So that will be the first part of this tutorial, followed by what I hope is a successful painting. So let's dive straight in. And there's quite a lot of graphite on here, so what I'm just going to do is soften some of that by tapping away some of the heavier marks that I made. There are also some secondary marks from where I did some erasing, changed some of the shapes. Okay, I think that eye is a little heavy. There you go. And the nasal passage. So I think we've done enough to take a lot of the graphite off the paper, and we can start setting to with color. Now, the idea behind this was to do something that was quite simple in not only in the design and the composition, which I've got going with the grebe anyway, and it's a very strong colored bird, and so I can get away with quite a pale water behind it. Now, luckily for me, that's what's in the reference, but the idea being that I can do some washes over here and change the temperature of the wash, so we can have a sort of pale bluish color, violet color coming down in the water, and then I can put in some yellows and that in the chest of the bird, all as a mere wash. Let that dry off, and then we can go back in with some soft watery marks, almost when the paper is dry, not when it's fully dry, not bone dry, because you're going to be very hard edge, just that soft bleed. So you've got to work out when the right time is, and I can't really show you that on the film, but I can sort of indicate it. It's sort of just when it's moist, dampness, just a little bit of movement in the paint, and it will work. So that's the plan. Whether or not it works out, we shall see. So I'm going to mix up some colors. Now, the brushes I'm using are, as always, from the Rosemary & Company Red Dot series. I have a 14, a 10 and a 5 round, and I have a rigger number 2. So this paper size is approximately 10 by 14, and I'm just going to mix up a simple wash color. Now, it's going to be predominantly, it's going to have a little bit of violet, that lavender in it. I'm really loving this color from Daniel Smith. It's a great color, but I'm making it quite weak. I want to influence this paper, but I don't want it to totally control the paper. So it's going to be quite a weak mix, but I'm going to add in a little bit of that cobalt turquoise to it, so it makes it somewhat of a yellowish or a different, sort of a greeny color than just the lavender blue color. All right, so let's just come on down then with this wash, bring it all the way through our scene. We don't have to paint through the bird. We can paint Sorry, we don't have to paint around the bird, but we do need to paint through the bird. So I'm going to bring another colour in. I'm just going to bring a little bit of the raw sienna into that mix. Just bring that into play in one or two places, because there's a bit of influence in the beak there. Now you notice that I've kept away a little bit from the cheek of the bird, because it does have a pale, cool white colour in there, and I want to maintain that and reserve that. So you can see I'm putting little bits of blue, little bits of the sienna into my mix now. I'm just going to influence a little bit more. I'm going to put a little bit of sienna, slightly stronger this time. I'm going to bring that up into a base colour for these side feathers, and they come down through here. Now, not too strong, just enough to influence those areas there. We've got a lot of cool colours to come in there, but I just want to get that base tone in to begin with. Anyway, I think I'm going to leave that to dry, and once that is, I'm going to come back and I'm going to influence the water a little bit more. In fact, what I'm going to do while that is drying, I'm going to try and see how dry that is up there, and see if what I can do to influence that. And we can start thinking about putting some little shapes and some little eddies in the water, so we can bring that in like that. So you can see there's movement in the water, certainly around the rear end of this bird. There's a lot of movement in the water. It's really broken up, and that's picking up reflections from the bank, from trees, from other objects out of shot. And we're just making that a little bit more interest in the water because of that. Now I've got to do a very similar thing here. In fact, I've got to do a couple of things, because I need something that's a little more pale, a little more violety. This lavender will do the trick. I'm just going to come in here and put in some very subtle movements. Now this is where it's definitely moving, the water's moving, but it's also catching the sky color above, and that's what's making those slightly violety shadows. So let's move on. This is pretty much dry. I want to come in with a lavender color, and I'm going to come over here with a base color over the back of this grebe. So I'm not actually painting any feathers at all, as you can see. I'm just merely using the brush marks to suggest that there is a multitude of coloured layered colours on here that is giving way to the belief that there are feathers there. I'm going to use the same colour to come in here in the darker shadowy part of the chest in there. So we're going to give way to some lovely orange now. Very, very strong colour. That's what we're going to put in. And although it will be quite watery, we're going to add some lovely Indian yellow to that. Hopefully we're going to come back in before that's dried, and we're going to add in some darker colours. Now what colours will I be using? I think I'm going to come in with some Schmincke neutral tint, and that will darken down. I'm going to put some more orange to that, so we make this dirty, grungier colour. Because I'm using quite a lot of pigment to water, hopefully I will avoid all of those ghastly secondary cauliflower marks that can occur. Bring a little bit of shadowing through there. Hopefully that will do the job. I think we have a very strong pattern and shape to that area there. I'm going to use a little bit of dull orangey yellow in over the eye here. Now I want that in now so that I can lift it almost straight away, because there's a little bit of cobalt green color just in there too. It's not all yellow, like a dirty yellow, shadowy blue color. I just want that in there to influence that sort of brow area of the bird. I'm going to use a very similar color now, a little bit of that orange, a little bit of that cobalt turquoise in just through here underneath the bird's chin. I come down in here, and I'm going to put that other cheek from the opposite side of the bird's head in there, and that now tells us that there is one of these patches each side. And watching these things dance in the water when they're mating, when they're courting each other, it's absolutely beautiful to see. Sometimes get to see it out when they're feeding offshore, but often or not you don't get to see that activity. So always this time of year, keep your eye open for it. You may get lucky. but when they do their full courtship display, it's something well worth standing and watching. I'm going to come in here with this strong dark. This is really going to make our bird really pop. And I'm going to go so far with this color like this, watching where I'm putting it, watching where I end it against the lights of the sky. And it pretty much is a Payne's grey with just a little bit to start with of orange, but we're going to increase that. We really want to make this quite punchy. Now the eye is piercingly red-orange. Beautiful eyes, very, very deep. Almost, you can't always see it, but it's like this jewel. I'll put that in. It needs to be even darker than that. I'm going to bring some alizarin into that orange. Just carefully pop it into place. Okay, it's a lot darker than that, so I'm going to influence that red. So we've got pure cadmium going in, a little bit of the alizarin, a little bit of the dark neutral tint, just to make a big influence on that red colour. Quite like the way that's worked. Alright, now then, I'm going to come back in before I forget. Some orange and some Payne's grey. Quite strong this time, and I want to shape up this area here. I'm putting quite a strong amount of detail around the eye. Now, I can't be too dry with this. Tendency is to make it too wet or too dry. I've got to find that happy balance, and so I can work the paint. See, that's just too wet now. You've got to really work hard to get that paint consistency where you need it to be. Just going to bring a bit more of a stronger orangey influence into this area, a little stronger than that maybe. It's not orange, it's sort of a yellow orange. Bring that up into there. like that. Okay, and then we can come back in with these darks that are down the back of the neck here. Now that is way too wet. More colour, more orange. Let's have that thicker paint colour, and then we can pick this up. It's not a problem. Not caused an issue, but we would have done had we carried on. I'm using the rigger as a bit like the edge of the dagger, to be fair. Come back in with some ultramarine blue, and that's the correct colour. Like that. Tap of sienna, just to take it off the pure blue, making a bit of a darker grey. Just want to come in here and suggest that we've got lovely little soft accents in the plumage here. A little bit of shadow maybe from the neck colours, but they just have that beautiful dark over the lights that we first put on. We're just suggesting lots of little subtleties in our feathers. Okay, I think that's fine for the moment. We're going to leave that alone. Going to pick up a little bit of blue, bit of green. Just want to come back in here and influence that a little more. Not that much more. Okay, take the worst of that out. Just bring that little greenish influence in there. A little cooling down of that front part. And while we've got it there, let's bring it down into the reflection here. And then we're going to come to a whitish or off-whitish reflection through here. A little bit more blue into that. There, like that. And going to play around with some of these colours here, because I'm not going to try and mimic exactly what's in the painting or in the photograph, sorry. Just trying to influence some of those colours. Bring a little bit warm colour for the neck, and there's going to be some darks in there as well. Now you can keep on playing with these colours and these little accents of blues and cools and warms and greys. So that lavender gives a very, very blue solid colour, sort of that lovely opaquish colour, which, you know, it's not a transparent colour, it is an opaque colour, and it just gives you that solid look to that blueness of the back of the bird, which I think is quite nice. When you consider all the subtleties with the orange and the transparent colours, the blue-violet colours do work extremely well when it comes to opacity. A little bit like a gouache in a way. Okay, so I think we're pretty much sorted out. I'm just doing a few tweaks here and there. I'm going to put a little bit of darkness under here, suggesting that that is the shade underneath the front of the bird there. coming around, shade, the reflection I meant, the little area of water underneath the bird. A little bit of darkness coming from that, a little bit of shadow in the bottom there. Hi everybody, one great crested grebe done. I had a lot of fun painting this one for you, and I do hope you really enjoyed the process of watching this bird come together. And if you did, why not give this video a big thumbs up? It really does help the channel grow. And at the same time, if you're not a subscriber, you know what I'm going to ask you. Please subscribe to the channel. The YouTube gods love all this interaction, and if they see that people are subscribing, supporting the channel, it really does help it grow. And a lot more people just like you who are learning to paint and want to learn to paint will get to see my video on YouTube's recommendation. So please subscribe to the channel, click that bell icon and all those other things. It really helps. And at the same time, don't forget I have a Patreon that is fully exclusive for most of it for at least 6 months. Lots of tiers to get involved with. I'd love to see you there. The reference also for this week's video will be over there in due course, and the line art. So you don't need to be a patron to download that and use it. Please do that. Visit the channel and visit my Patreon and download those for your own reference to use. But if you're over there, why not check it out? And if you want to get involved, I'd love to welcome you as my latest patron. And at the same time, don't forget there is that Sky course, £67 for over 7 hours of content. Well worth getting involved with, and I'd love to help you out there with watercolor skies in the future. In the meantime, I am going to stop. I'm going to let you guys get on. I'm going to get ready for the next video for next week. So I don't know what I'm going to be painting yet, but I will figure something out. But in the meantime, I'm going to wish each and every one of you all the very best. Stay safe wherever you are. Enjoy your painting above all. And I catch each and every one of you next Friday at 3 p.m. Take care now. Bye-bye.